Of West Ham's history and part of the club.
Yeah, totally, man. And you're right. And obviously,
consider the inconsistency in team selection still.
My name's Jake, not Jane. Has got school. Actually, Jane.
You could pass for a Jane.
Actually, I haven't.
You could pass for a Jane.
I'm off.
Remember, we're all doing that in front of him. We're all buying, and he was out.
Good evening and welcome back to the West Ham Network for our match day player ratings. And it's not the norm. It's not Jake unless he's had a cheeky operation and grown some facial hair and got some glasses on. And it's not Matt. It's Anton and Stell.
I know, and we've got the lowest viewer rating figures going because of it. Maybe it's Monday night and we lost.
Yeah, that's it. I think people are just a bit kind of deflated. I mean, still, you've come back from the game. I know you came on the review. You've had time to kind of digest it. We will go through the ratings. The ratings are going into a poll on YouTube, so please make sure you get involved with that poll and let us know your honest opinion. Tap in the poll answers. We'll go through the answers after each player. But let's just come to you, Still, very briefly, mate. I mean, you've had time to digest the result. How are you feeling?
Disappointed, I guess. You know, we didn't get going in the first half. I think we both said that. I actually don't know what you thought, because I when I came on at half time, I was saying that I was a bit disappointed with the way we played, and Brentford played well against us and they were all over us. But then we came out in the second half storming. We had a really, really good second half. And I think we were just really unlucky not to come away with anything, to be honest with you. That was the disappointing part. We had a disappointing 45 minutes, but then a very, very disappointing end to the game. You know.
Yeah. I think for me personally, it was just pure and utter deflation, to be honest. I think it's because I'm so used to the way that West Ham have been playing and grinding out results even when things aren't going so well. The game certainly was a game of two halves. There's no ifs or buts about it. And we definitely had chances. And if we could have just finished some of those chances. I mean, again, the opposition goalkeeper had very good saves. He made very, very good saves, albeit, yes, he was time wasting. Yes, he was doing all that sort of stuff. He still made good saves and kept Brentford in the game. You know, even though they had opportunities early on, apart from that, and apart from the goals they scored, I couldn't really think of, many clear-cut chances again.
First half, let's not beat around the bush. They could have gone in winning 3-0.
Yeah.
Pretty easily. And we kind of, in a roundabout sort of way, I think we were lucky to only be 1-0 down. But then in the second half, we not only deserved to be drawing, but we were unlucky not to be winning. And I think it was gut wrenching that they got their winning goal in the last minute. And I know we're going to probably talk about the free kick that led up to it. I read that Moyes was upset with Ogbonna and giving the free kick away, but to us it didn't even really look like a free kick, to be honest.
Yeah, I actually think he was upset a few more things, including the penalty decision that we didn't get. I don't know if you've had a chance to actually review it again since, but
no, I'll be honest with you, that came and went really fast. When you're at the stadium and the decisions aren't made, I think we were calling out for at least look at VAR, and the ref was completely dismissive.
Well, the funny thing was, when the incident happened, the ball was in play quite a lot in the box, and it wasn't really, blown out of proportion. I think the only player really calling for anything at that time was Antonio, to be honest. But
this is what's been instilled in us, isn't it? That we do not complain about decisions that seem to go against us. we've been told, or not we've been told, but I think the players have been told, get on with it. You know, if it's called, it's called. And I think that's the kind of team David Moyes wants. He wants an honest team. And that's probably why not any more players were calling out for it apart from Antonio. You know, and maybe if we did what Brentford did and just literally called for almost every single foul or half foul, we might have got more than we should have done.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But that you know that's. I mean,
I get it though. I mean, but it's tough. I'm struggling with this loss today. It's not that I'm panicking. It's nothing to do with panicking. It's just I've become so accustomed to, you know, when we left the game against Manchester United after Noble missed the penalty, it got saved. It was exactly the same feeling again today. But because that is what twice we've lost now in a small space of time, but we haven't lost for such a long time. And we've not lost, and we haven't had that feeling a lot, and it's different now. It's different now, and you're hoping
our
and praying.
Expectations have been raised, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and we were bragging about we've only lost 1 in 19. Well, that's the time when you shouldn't brag, you know. And also when we scored our goal on the 80th minute, and the fans around us started singing, you're not singing anymore, and some of us, including me, said, don't start singing that a bit too soon. You know, because the game's not over. And but you're right, we our expectations have been raised, and rightly so, because we're a team to be reckoned with, and when we do lose, it becomes a huge disappointment. Disappointment. You know?
There's loads of people in the chat. Let's go and see who's in the chat before we jump through the player ratings. Of course, Long Dark Tunnel 2, the lot apart from Bowen, who gets a 5. We'll come through each player individually as we go along. Liam DA, everyone's criticising Fabianski today. However, he was amazing today. Again,
we'll talk about him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. James, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Lawrence, Matt is still crying. I think so. He said, I don't understand why Moyes doesn't make more subs. Liam DA, we'll come into that again as we go along. Andy Pepper, even though not the best day today, onwards and upwards. Absolutely. We've got to just brush it off, move on, and put the head up and carry on. James Bong.
That's a good point, James.
Yeah, I didn't even think, but I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch Match of the Day 2. I've already seen the game enough today. You know, I just don't want to get that feeling again. Liam DA saying, ugh, the international break. I think that's how everyone feels about it. Neil from Down Under, evening all from South Australia, 8:20 a.m. in the morning.
Time for Neil, isn't it? It's quite an actual normal time for him.
Yeah, I hope we're giving you a good start to your day. Well, maybe we're not because of the result. Lawrence Watkins, Fab was awful. Andy Pepper, evening Neil. Lawrence, you're all talking to each other. That's cool. Peter Jones, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Liam, we'll come on to the numbers in a second. Zach Parker, more mistakes from Fab again. I really should have replaced him after the Man United game. Lawrence Watkins, hello Peter, all talking to each other. I'm absolutely gutted that we've come away with nothing. Moyes not making substitutions was so stupid.
Oh yeah, I've got a theory on that as well, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
Neil again is saying, I was always a bit worried about playing Brentford, as I've watched quite a few of their games this year. They play good brand of football and they really owned most of the first half. Andy Pepper, good evening. Kaiser Machine, we were pressing them late in the second half. I guess Moyes didn't want to interrupt the flow with a sub. Yep, good point. Liam DA, my only criticism on Fabianski is he can't keep hold of the ball properly, which is currently costing us. Yep.
Yeah.
And exactly, you're agreeing with that. Pretty important part of being a keeper. Yeah, I suppose that you see, again, you're all talking to each other and just keep doing that. But then we owned most of the game after half time, and while we were dominating the play, there was no way Moyes was going to break that momentum by making a sub. Raymond says Fab stays at home a lot, never comes for crosses. Bernie's saying, I still think at times we should have played Rice with Krall and Thomas in midfield in the second half. Revo, I'm here, just quiet tonight. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for joining us. Soucek and Soufal look tired. Alan Wall saying good evening. Rob J is saying evening irons around the globe. Wasn't Fabianski's best save, but he has kept us in it a number of times. Would have got my man in the match if we'd have held on. Neil from Down Under, and I know our clocks went forward 1 hour in the weekend. Well, no, our clocks must go forward soon. I think they do. I don't know exactly when it is, but
it must be soon. Yeah.
Scott Venn had an okay game, but my God, he's what's he doing for the last goal? Surely he has to hold on to that. If not, don't pam it into the danger area. Alan, Soucek and both Antonio missing that cross cost us. Yeah, honestly, millimetre, like literally a
I know.
millimetre. Bernie, if we had to move the three in the midfield with two holding midfielders, we'd add cover to our back four. Peter Jones out of the 90 minutes or thereabouts. We were the better team for 60 minutes of it, but they had the referee and the luck on their side.
So
Scott
true
Venn, no
about
sub
the
in the
ref.
second half. Yeah, no sub in the second half was correct. We had momentum. The change should have been made at half time. Serif is saying Fab needs to be dropped. Areola number one. Fab, both goals were down to him today. How would I pronounce this name? Mihajlo.
Mihailo.
It's completely normal to us to lose games this season due to the intensity of playing in more competitions than ever. It's important we bounce back and sharpen up. Defensively, Soucek, Soufal stepped up. Very briefly, I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at David Moyes' post-match press conference, and he absolutely denies that playing in the competition is a problem, and he wants it more. He's like, I am not absolutely have no single bit of interest in West Ham ever playing one game a week while I'm the manager at West Ham, because he says that's not, it's not, yeah.
And ironically, the players that I don't think had a good game today, some of them didn't play on Thursday anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can blame it on that. Players playing too many games. But anyway, we'll get onto that.
Yeah. I mean, it's saying Fabianski does that every game. Areola should play and forget the past. Now he's crap. I don't think he's crap. I mean, that's harsh, but each to their own. How do you say Fab could be a player of the game? Ridiculous. I think your clocks will go back. Peter Banks, the ref, was a disgrace. We'll come on to him in a minute as well. Don't understand why Kroll didn't come on for Soucek, who was poor. Ref was awful. And Will X, certainly a lucky side, Brentford, and a dirty side, surprised me. I think you said that a lot still.
Oh dear. Were they just?
Yeah. So let's get into the first player still, and the first player to rate today and get your ratings in while we're talking about the players is none other than the keeper, Fabianski. Morning, still.
What do you say about a player that's been a great servant to the club and has begun to maybe cost us a couple of games? We talked about this at the supporters club, and I can't remember. Forgive me for whether we did or didn't talk about it when I came on for the review. But that's the second goal that I've seen Fabianski palm out, carry out a great save, only for the ball to come out into the danger zone. Back into the 6-yard box. Ronaldo scored from it a few weeks ago, and Brentford scored from it today. And Fabianski has been a great servant. I don't want to put him down, but of all the good saves he did make today, and he did make some very good saves, you can't argue with the fact that Fabianski has probably cost us at least getting a draw against Man United and a draw against Brentford today. When you save the ball, you've got to also make sure it's safe, as in you're saving it and it goes out of the danger zone. And let's not beat around the bush. As good a save as it was palmed back into the danger zone, and Brentford scored. And because of that, he gets a 4 for me.
Oh wow, slow. People who watch this show on a regular occasion are going to have to come to terms with the fact that still is as harsh as anyone can be when it comes to these ratings. People say that Matt is, but no, you've got a new breed here, and his name is Stelios.
I know people, and a lot of people are going to disagree because they'll see the saves he pulled off. I will not deny he pulled off some decent saves, but when you give a goal away, that all those saves just sort of like you got. I'm being harsh.
No,
maybe,
I know that. I get that, and I do agree. I don't think Fabianski has had his great day. I think I totally agree with you in terms of when a keeper makes a save, they've got to parry the ball out, and it's got to be wide and away from any other player. And I think it's been happening a little bit too much recently. Ronaldo, and you could questionably say the 2 goals today in terms of good saves, but they were put into the more danger, which led to 2 goals. So, but there is more to it. There is a build-up play as well. But equally, though, we're only talking about Fabianski and his performance, and so I mean, I would more or less want to give him a bit of a higher score normally, but the whole point of me presenting this show is to get your opinion. So we'll go with a 4, which is what you've said. 42% of people in the chat agree with you by going 5 and under. So
right.
42%. So the majority of the chat are saying it's 5 and under. 30% give him a 6. We'll go into the chat and actually see what scores people have actually given. Michelet's saying Fab gets a 6. Neil from Under gives him a 6. Hornswozler saying if we'd won our Premier League games today and against Man United in exchange for losing in the Europa League, would you take it? Good question.
Good question. But the point is, Hornswozler, is that most of the team that played today did not play in Europe. Or let me rephrase. Fabianski didn't play, and I don't think he had a great game. And we'll get to some others, but other players that I don't think had a good game also didn't play. The only player that well, I don't want to give away what I'm thinking. I don't want to give away what I'm thinking.
Bernie saying we have more than one system to play in. We seem not want to try it at times. I do not get it. I think that will come throughout the season as we go along. So I'm not stressed about that. The first goal came from our bad defence, and there was issues. We'll come on to that one.
Mm-hmm.
James Bong, Fabs gets a 7.5. Pretty high, but hey, your choice. Rob J, defenders. Their keeper made a couple as well, but they had a defence backing him up. English Yardy, we had our chances, to be honest. Fab has been a good servant for us going forward. I'd like to see us give Areola, Diop and Zouma in the way that we are conceding too many goals. Peter Jones is saying 7 for Fab. Rob J saying 7. Kaiser Machine saying 7 from me. Couldn't do a lot with the second goal. Scott Venn gives 7 to Scott to Fab. Rob J is giving Soucek a 4. He agrees with you. Answer the question.
Well, I've not Soucek yet.
Did we? What was the question you gave to me? Did we just not read that out?
You read out Soucek. People are giving.
Oh no, he wants this. He wants to answer this question. Would you swap that? There you go. Would you swap the league for the Europa?
It's a difficult question to answer because they're different competitions and virtually two different teams.
Yeah.
So I can't answer that. I think sorry. I'm not trying to dodge the question, but I'm finding that really hard to answer.
You might need the whole show to compute that, so we'll come back to you with that Hornswozler and give you one at the end.
Okay.
Seraph 2 is saying 3. He's gone 1 lower than you, mate. Jimmy Jones is going. Jamie James, sorry, is giving him a 6. Epic Hashtime's giving him a 3. And there's Dalek, mate. He saw you today.
He did. He said hello. Hello to you, Cyber.
Excellent. So next up to rate is Vladimir Soufal. Get your comments in and let us know what you thought the ratings were out of 10 for Vladimir Soufal.
Oh no.
What? Are you gonna? Oh no. You're saying oh no because you're gonna go. Where are you gonna go with this?
It's poor. He had a poor game today, Soufal. I don't know what was wrong with him, but he certainly wasn't on his game today. And then yet another player that just looked a little bit. He just looked a little bit out of sorts. And again, that's more down to the fact that we've started to rely on such an excellent right back that we've got for next to nothing in terms of today's money. But he was a poor game. His passing was wayward. I think they targeted him certainly in the first half, and he just didn't look. He just looked. I don't know if this injury that he's had is playing on his mind in a way, or maybe if he's not 100% fit. But then if he's not 100% fit, that's down to the manager to use Johnson, for example, who had a decent game on Thursday. So yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be another low score for me for Soufal. It's going to be another 4.
4. Yeah. I mean, listen, I think I said to you when we were at the last couple of games together that I feel like they've been targeting his side, Manchester United and the Premier League. They targeted Soufal. Of course, then it was a potentially a risk playing him in the League Cup, but it worked in the end. And then he played against Leeds, didn't he? Did he play against Leeds? Yep. And it was obviously it wasn't the best performance either. And again, I felt like they were targeting him down there, and they did the same again today. I never saw anything. You know, Matt and Jake usually have a kind of protocol where they say if the player starts, they start from a 6. They start always from a 6, and then they either work their way up or work their way down. And if they're bang average, they just gain a 6. But I think he was below average, and I've got to agree with that kind of motto. So yeah, it will be an interesting one. 42% of people in the chat have said he gets a 6. 39% of people have said 5 and under. Okay. So It's pretty
Almost
close.
even.
It's pretty
Yeah.
close. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty close. Let's go and see in the chat what people are saying about Vladimir Soufal. Like I said, please engage as much as you can. It really does help us. Dalek's giving him a 4. Rob J's giving him a 4. Michelle's giving him a 4. Tyler saying he had a shocking game. Liam said he grew into the game for me, 5. Soufal gets a 4 from Scott Vin. Worst game I've seen him in a West Ham shirt.
Probably was, to be honest with you. I think Scott's right. Yeah.
Neil from Down Under gives him a 5, but the big question is, will he ever score for?
Probably not.
Ever score for us? Serif is giving him a 6. Richard Walton's giving him a 4. I think that's the first time you and Richard have ever agreed on anything. Still,
Probably.
Scott Venn is saying new contract syndrome.
Well, isn't that ironic that it was announced yesterday? And then,
absolutely,
yeah.
Jimmy James is saying poor first half, a bit better second half, overall 5. Serif should have played Johnson, would have suited today's game. And you know, I'm not trying to say, oh, I know what I'm talking about, but for me, it was a no-brainer. Johnson's came off a couple of good West Ham games, a couple of good West Ham performances, and for me, it was key to potentially play someone like Johnson today because it was the right decision because he's come off of good games and he deserves that shot, and it shows that we've got the squad depth. But I'm not digging Moyes out for it. I'm just saying.
No, but then you know what Moyes. We know what Moyes does. He has faith in certain players, doesn't he? And he sticks with players. You won't see Soufal play a game that bad again. I'll eat my hat if he does. And I just think it was just an off day for him. He didn't look great. You're absolutely right in the last game, but we thought okay, he was okay. But today he was, you know, his passing, his movement, his link-up play, etc., was kind of non-existent. You know, I mean, the number of times in the first half, because we're in the Bobby Moore lower, you see the right side, and the number of times he booted the ball up and it went nowhere. It just went into their defence and no one chasing for it, etc. One could argue maybe players should have anticipated it and run for the ball, but they were quite wayward passes, and it was a shame because the standard he set, you know, and we've come to expect is not that. So I'm putting it down as a one-off. I do not think he'll play that badly again.
Revo saying Soufal 4 played pretty shocking, passing was so often booting the ball upfield to no one many times. He gets a 5.5 from James Bong. You could discuss that in the chat. I want to see Anton one day. You may see me one day, mate. You may see me one day. Unexpected in Europe with Freddie's injury. Sorry, late being in A&E all day. Hope you're okay, Father Snowman. Please stay safe. Mate Balota, I don't understand why Moyes didn't make any subs, and I don't understand why he didn't bring at all Vlasic. We'll come on to that in a second. Hilo is saying 4 for Soufal. Don't know why he was marking Janssen on the last free kick. Soucek should have marked him. Hornswazzer Soufal needed help today. Maybe should have brought Fredericks on. Kaiser Machine.
Was he on the bench?
I can't actually remember if he was on the bench. We'll check that in a minute. Amin is giving him a 6. Richard Walton's giving 4 for the whole back. We see Azure on the way out. He's massive. He didn't play today.
On the way out of where?
He didn't play though. Must have been talking about the stadium. But Azure didn't actually play for Brentford today. Vladimir Soufal.
Azure, who used to be at
Celtic.
Yeah. What? He's already on his way out of Brentford.
No, they must have seen his son. They saw him coming out of the stadium. That's probably.
I'm sorry. Okay, sorry.
Willock's giving him a 4 out of 10, but I would not say this to his face. He would beat me. Anthos is giving him a 4. Benny's giving him a 4. English artist saying going forward, to be honest, Johnson should get a look at right back. His pacey past few matches in Brim looks like he's being targeted. Agreed, Johnson would have been deserving. Where are we? So many comments in here. Peter Jones is giving him a 6. Bernie's saying the whole back 4 had an off day in truth, and it's why I would have moved to 3 in the midfield. 3.5 from Gary Cray. English Ardy meant to say Soufal has been targeted in the Premier League matches. So Stel gives a 4, and most of the chat pretty much agrees with Stel for that. So it's now time to rate Stel's favourite, and his name is Angelo Ogbonna.
People say culpable for the second goal, giving away an unnecessary free kick. I don't think it was even a free kick. But there you go. You saw the replay. We don't have the privilege of seeing the replay in the stadium. So you tell me, mate, was it a free kick or was it
I don't think.
really,
I
really
don't think.
lame?
I don't think it was a free kick, to be honest. No, I think it was pretty lame. But my problem with Ogbonna wasn't the second goal. My problem with Ogbonna was, and most of the defenders, was the first goal and the performance at the back. It was one of the worst defensive performances I've actually seen West Ham have in quite a long time.
But you know what? I'll give Brentford credit where credit's due. There in the first half, they put so much pressure on every player. The minute we had the ball, we had no time to compose ourselves. You know what's happened? So in the last season and a half, we get the ball, we slow the game down, we play it to our pace, build up, etc., etc. And Brentford, to their credit, every time any of our players got the ball, they were on us, and that was the same for our defenders. And I think that unnerved Ogbonna and Zouma and all our backline really. And he didn't have a good game. He had marginally better game, but yeah, you got to 5.5. Yeah.
Well, we don't do halves in this show. So we'll give him a 5. 53% of people have voted 5 and under in the chat. Let's jump into the chat and see what everyone is saying, of course, regarding Oggy. Where are we? Find its way up there. Here we are. Bad Pit's giving him a 4. Neil from Down Under's giving him a 5. Dalek's giving him a 5. Dan 72 4.32. Rob J's giving him a 4. Rob J's giving him a 5. Sorry. Neil from Down Under, definitely not a free kick. Ref was in dreamland. It was appalling. Oggy gets a 4.5. Oggy gets a 6 from James Bong. Where are we? Kaiser gives him a 6. Jimmy Jones, Oggy 5, uncomfortable. Scott Venn, Oggy 5, struggled today. Serif, Oggy looked very nervous and under pressure. He panicked when they pressed us. Serif is saying Oggy gets a 5. Richard Bolton saying next game Moyes will revert to a back 5 to shore up the defence, and there's a possibility. It's a good shout. It might happen as well. Anthos is saying Og 5, our back line was all dodgy. Bernie says Oggy 4, just. And that, yeah, so there you go. Everyone's rated Oggy. So I think it's time we move on to his partner in crime in the central defensive pairing, and that is Zouma. So get your comments in and rate Zouma.
Well, they're a partnership, and if you're gonna give Ogbonna a 5, unfortunately, you're going to give Zouma no more than that either. It's just one of those days at the office. It was just really poor for the defence, as people have been saying, and some might argue that Zouma was marginally better, but marginally. But I think maybe 5 is fair for him as well. And I just didn't know what the hell was going on today with our defence. We've seen such a dominant Zouma from the moment he stepped in at West Ham. Yet again, another performance where you just thought, what's going on? And again, I've got to credit Brentford where they're due credit. It seemed to unnerve the way they played, the way they really got us in the first half, unnerved the whole back line. So I can't give him any more than a 5, just like Ogbonna. They're a partnership. I cannot say one was any better than the other.
I was really disappointed in the two of them today, to be honest, especially for the first goal. Again, looking back at the first goal, a lot of people are very quick to pick out Fabianski as the reason why we didn't concede, but our defence let him down before it even came anywhere near him. The ball that was played through, Zouma was in dreamland and completely lost his marker and couldn't catch up with him. But what frustrated me equally was Ogbonna stopped running with Mbeumo. Just completely stopped and then realised, oh, I better keep running with him. By that point, Mbeumo had gone forward. Fabianski had parried the ball out And if Ogbonna had followed his runner, he would have cleared the ball, but he didn't. And Buemo got the second opportunity, bang, the ball went in. And the three of those players were to blame for that goal, which really pissed me off in the first half because it was such a shit mistake and an old school West Ham mistake that I guarantee you still Moyes would have been Moyes would have gone in there and tore through them all and gone, "You're no better than that."
You must have known what the sort of level of conversation must have been in the changing room at half time, because they came out a completely different team.
Absolutely.
To the way they were. I don't want to say that the team was asleep in the first half, but boy, oh boy, they needed half time couldn't come soon enough, especially for our defenders.
Yeah.
And they were a hell of a lot better. If we were rating the halves, I would have probably given every defender a 2. And then stepped it up with giving them something like a 4 or a 5 in the second half. Do you know what I mean? Because they all played better, but it was still not great.
Yeah.
And I, like I said about Soufal, you're not likely to see Soufal play a game as bad as he did today. You're probably not likely to see the whole back line play as bad as they did today. They look quite disjointed. It was disappointing, but I'm not worried.
Yeah,
because I know Moyes and his troop, will put that right.
Yeah. 44% of people agree with you and rate Zouma 5 and under in the chat. So we'll jump into the chat and see what everyone is actually individually saying. Rob J is saying Zouma didn't look comfortable. He gets a 5. Gary Craig gives him a 5. Dalek gives him a 6 or a 5 from him. Joe Stanley, I blame the ref for the last goal. Ogbonna wouldn't have fouled him if the ref allowed Dick on the field earlier. English Yardy, Zouma gets a 5.
Shout. Good shout.
Neil from Down Under, he gets a 5. James Bong, he gets a 6. Peter Jones gives him a 7. Kaiser Machine gives him a 5. We look lost in the defence. Vinny, we have done him, mate, but you can put it in if you want. Scott Vin, Zouma 5 struggles too, should have scored in the first half. I think Tyler says, I think Zouma was the one who stood out at the time. I don't know, possibly stood out as being not great in my opinion, alongside the rest of them. Zouma again, very nervous. He gets a 5. Bernie says Zouma still finding his feet. 5 is about the best I can say. I think that's a valid point. Neil from Down Under, Brentwood pressed us really hard and we had problems trying to handle it. We'll come on to Cress in a minute. Zouma, well, question mark. Dawson will be breathing on his neck if it continues. Let's hope it's a one-off. We'll talk about this in a second. Peter Jones, Zouma 7. Zouma, Jimmy James gives him a 5. Liam was giving him a 5. Will X is really enjoying this show, enjoying this top stuff, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Will.
Mishlace giving Zouma a 6. Richard Walton said Zouma like a back 4 partners was shocking from start to finish. So 4. Rob J saying please give it a like. Thank you very much. Hilo's saying 5 from Zouma and Oggy. Think that Rice going forward more often leaves the defence vulnerable. It's questionable and probably got a valid point. Liam saying Zouma and Diop would be great for set pieces, like their 10th. Where are we? Where are so many comments in there. So we'll jump on to the next player still. And the next player we are going to be rating is the left back, Aaron Cresswell.
How many times can you say that Cresswell was our best defender of a game?
Oh, he was today.
I think he's very consistent. Don't get me wrong, but he was our best defender today.
Yep.
By a country mile. And when we think about how even I thought that Cresswell's career in the top flight was probably finished a couple of seasons ago, he is he's resurrected. Great, and he had a decent game today. So he's got to get. I mean, it's a shame you don't do halves, because I would have given him a 6.5. But if pushed, I'm going to say, because he was our best defender, I'm going to give him a 7.
7. That's I don't know if I can do that, but okay.
You're not
I've asked you.
I'm not Matt, so I'm not going to be talked out of it. So there you go.
I was going to give him a 6. I mean, I've rated.
It was a 6/7. Yeah,
I've rated the other defenders a 4. All 3 of them a 4. And I think, but that's fine because it's relatable considering where you're at. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought his set piece taking was pretty decent today, and he was getting far forward and didn't really put a foot wrong. And I think that's credit to him because they weren't targeting his side. They saw the weakness in the Soufal side and targeted It's weird, isn't it?
anything,
Yeah.
because I think we've been saying for a couple of seasons now that we keep worrying about our left side of defence,
Yeah.
and yet Cresswell, is that down to Fornals? Because Cresswell seems to control very well the left side, or we are as a team are controlling the left side far more than we did on the right side today, and for the last few games as well, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but he did all right. He did all right.
Yeah, definitely. I do agree. I think he was definitely our best defender, and how maybe times have changed quite a bit. Let's jump into. So we're doing Cresswell. So I'm going to go into the poll. Just need to find it and see. So 50% of people have given Cresswell a 6.
Okay,
So
it's fair. It's fair.
yeah, fair enough, isn't it? Right. Okay. Let's see what everyone's saying. Gary Craig gives him a 6. Dan 72, when is Cresswell going to let someone who consistently cleared the first man take over the corner kick? 5 for him, and I'm being generous. I thought he was actually okay today. There was a couple of corners that went haywire. There was one that went out of play, which, that's always a bit crap that happens. But I think, today must have been a record with the amount of corners in the game in general. I think Brentford must have about 20.
Well,
about 20.
we were counting the corners in the first 10 minutes. They had 4 to our 1.
Yeah.
And we went, they're going to get something out of one of these corners sooner or later, you know, and lo and behold.
Kaiser's given Cress a 6. One of the better players today. Forwards couldn't convert his passes. Peter Jones says Cresswell 4, not very good in front at all. Even worse in defence. He needs some competition. Amin's given him a 7. Vinay's given him a 7. Cresswell tried and played his usual game. Rice needs to sit back more, covers more often than Soucek. Is going forward, offers more threat. James Bong 7.5. Neil from Down Under gives him a 6. He was the best defender today by a mile. Scott Venn, Cress 7 points on crack and delivers in from corners. Done very well today, gets a 7 from Serif. James gives him a 7. Best defenders today and some really good corners. Richard Walton said legs gone. Cresswell is praying to be upgraded so he can do a noble wind down non-playing exit. So a 4. Harsh, but it's up to you. I don't know. That's the way it goes. Clive.
Cresswell has never relied on his pace or running or anything like that, and he plays a very different game nowadays. Anyway.
Well, let's move on into the midfield, and the man that's kind of on the tip of many tongues, the Czech potato salad, Mr. Tommy Soucek.
Oh dear. Not his best game, but as people were saying, he's not been playing well at all this season. And sometimes let's not forget, like some of our other players, he played the whole year. He hasn't had a break since he's walked into West Ham United. Every summer there's been a competition or some sort of tournament or whatever that he's been a part of. We had a very short period, if you remember, because of lockdown. We had a very short period between last season and the season before last, in terms of amount of time that they had a respite. And then, of course, season just gone, we've had the Euros. He's tired. The man's tired, and he looks tired, and he's playing very tired. But again, that's down to the manager to make a decision. What do I do if some of our players are not performing? You have a squad, and Moyes has alluded to having a squad. Then bloody well use the squad. Don't keep relying on the same players who are eventually, it's a bit like Fabianski. I kind of said it at the supporters club. We don't want to end up moaning. We don't want to end up putting certain players down who have become icons, like iconic in a way. Like Fabianski has become like a great keeper for the amount of money we pay for him. We don't want him to leave West Ham United on a sour note, just like we don't want Soucek to go through the whole season on a sour note, and then for fans to start going on about, well, he's crap, because he ain't crap. He's just tired. But
I don't think he's had a crap season. I think he's had a run of. I think he's actually started the season. If I'm being brutally honest, I think he started the season well, and I think there's been occasions where he's played 70 minutes really well, and then he's looked tired. But now the run of maybe 3 or 4 games in a row, he has started and tired and hasn't played well. And today in particular, I noticed he gave the ball away a few times and couldn't recoup and get the ball back, which is
Yeah.
not the Tommy Soucek we're used to. However, people are saying that Rice is going forward, and that's leaving us a little bit more vulnerable. But you know, there is a difference still, and maybe there is a difference because obviously, if one used to go forward and one sat, and now the opposite's happening, that he's not chipping in with as many goals because he's got to sit back a little bit more. Then you know maybe there is something in that, but who knows? What have you given him? You haven't rated him?
4.
Oh gosh. Oh, Still's cutting. It's like he's stuck a knife in and he's twisting it. Honestly, my word.
I'm being honest.
Let me see what everyone in the chat is saying. Let's see what the percentage comes out for Tommy Soucek. 62% have given him a 5 and under. There you go. 5 and under. Most people have agreed with you in the chat. Bernie's given Soucek a 4. He wasn't at the races today. Gary Craig's given him a 4. Dalek's given him a 3. Amin's given him a 3. Neil from Down Under's given him a 3.5. Rob J, another one
saying I'm harsh.
4. I know. Mishley's saying 5. Because when we do these shows, normally there's 7, 8s, and 9s, not 4s, 3s, and 5, 6s.
Yeah, because people are looking through West Ham rose tinted glasses and all that.
No, I know, Bill. Considering we've played well most of the times we do these bloody shows. Anyway, Kaiser Machine 6 for
you
Soucek.
only pick me to
do the rest.
you know, when we've had a shit game.
I know. I bring on the guy who's
got bloody ratings on. You know,
Scott Venn, big Tommy Soucek 3. What's happened to our potato salad? Looks well off the pace. Time for Kroll or Lanzini to come in. James Bong 5.5. M Murad 5.5. Garino said he's suffering due to many matches and being asked to sit deeper till he arrives to push forward. In my opinion, Pgad Soucek hasn't recovered from his knocks on his head, and now the internationals. Of course, Peter Jones gives him a 6. He should have been rested, and Kroll should have played from a mean. M is saying he's been overused. Anthos is saying maybe Soucek can't play with crowds. People haven't thought of that, actually. Well, you can't fault Soucek. I don't think it does. Yeah, no. You can't fault Soucek. Heart and work rate, but not
absolutely not. Will absolutely not. Yeah.
Vinay says he gets 5. He looks tired. Kroll should have played. The suggestion that Rice going forward too much effect.
I'll ask you a question. Should Kroll have played on Thursday night and given Soucek a rest for today? Because my argument about when people go, oh, well, here we go, it's all about the Europa League, and that's why there are a number of players who I think shouldn't have played on Thursday, and Soucek was one of them.
Well, I tell you why I have actually got the full blown faith in that squad. Therefore, if you wanted to play Soucek and give Soucek time, play Kroll today. And give Soucek the rest today.
Or that, either way.
I would have been
either way.
At one point in that game, about 50 minutes in, Alf and Tommy were on with me and were suggesting, was it 60 minutes? 60 minutes in, we should make a substitution. Something needs to change. And I said at that time, the only substitution I could see, because we had momentum, the only substitution I could see West Ham making was Soucek for Kroll. Yeah.
But do you know why Moyes didn't do that? Because to the crowd, it would have looked like a negative
approach.
A negative approach.
Oh, I don't know if Moyes thinks like that, but we'll see.
No, but I actually agree with you. I actually agree with that. If there was to be a change, freshen it up in the middle to allow Declan to keep going forward, because Kroll is a bit more defensive midfield minded.
Yeah.
You know, so I actually agree with what you guys were saying. You know, but to a lot of people it wouldn't have looked negative because Soucek did look tired, but I think generally the stadium would have gone, whoa, you know, like, oh, that's typical Moyes, back to his old ways. You know, we're losing 1-0 and he's making a defensive-minded change. That's why I don't think he brought Kroll on. But I agree with Kroll coming on.
Joe Stanley gives him a 5. I agree with what Still says. Soucek used to get 3 weeks off with Slavia in the winter, so he's probably knackered. Pgad says Soucek was most effective when they played 5 at the back. Jimmy James gives him a 6. Richard Walton says Soucek is playing like he had a stomach upset, so 4 and +1 if he changes his spud salad. Bernie saying, well put. Still, we cannot keep burning out our players, but we have used the like of Kroll. If not, why buy him if we're not going to play him? Eric says from minute 1 we could see several players were knackered. So it's sometimes there's too many comments. It's fine, and I appreciate all your comments as well. We do try and get through as many as we can, but we're 45 minutes in, and we're We just started the
That's
midfield.
That's because of me.
English Yardie, Soucek gets a 5 going forward. Soucek and Soufal need a break, to be honest, playing too much football for club and country. I'm nervous for the international break. Do you know what? There's such a similar vibe from absolutely everyone in the chat. It's about resting certain players and rotating the squad, and that's exactly what I think we need to do. But anyway, it is time to move on to his counterpart in the midfield, none other than Captain Declan Rice.
I'm trying to figure out who was our best player on the pitch today, and I think it was probably Cresswell. So Declan's getting a 5 because he was
5.
All right.
I do think that's harsh. Still, I do think
Fair
that's
enough.
harsh.
Fair enough, but even he wasn't on his best form today.
He wasn't on his best game, but I mean, you're giving Cresswell a 7. I do think Rice.
I think Cresswell was our best player on the pitch. I actually think Cressy was our best player on the pitch. I don't think Rice was our best player. I think he was finding it. Whether that's because he was covering for Soucek and maybe trying to do more, I don't know. But I can see what people have given him, and no one's given him a 5 yet. Oh yeah, there you go. Neil has.
Well, 40% of the chat is giving him a 6. 35% of the chat have given him a 7. And
he
only
wasn't that good.
Only
all
16,
right, I'll tell you what.
Only 16% of people. Are you changing? Are you changing?
5.25. There you go.
Right, I'll tell you what, we'll round that up and give him a nice little, beautiful little 6. But I mean, it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Your favoritism is not good.
It's not really, to be honest. I mean, I do agree with 75% of the chat that are in there saying he definitely deserves more than a 5. But listen, at the end of the day, it is a ratings for a game that we got beat.
Let's go for 6. Let's go for 6. But it still wasn't his best game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Let's have a look and see what the chat said. Gary Craig gives him a 5. He had England on his mind. Scott Venn gives him an 8. Absolutely everything today. I never seen him pull up with cramp. Carries Soucek. Long Duck Tunnel gives him a 6. Rice gets a 5 from Neil from Down Under. Gary, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Dalek gives him a 7. Mashade gives him a 7. Scott Venn says you're harsh, Uncle Stel. James Bond gives him a 6.5. Bernie says it's not negative to go on two holding midfield players with one player. Rice is just a 5.
It's quite a few that have said 5.
Long Dark Tunnel, yeah, but you fell to the pressure, mate. You fell to the pressure. I mean, 6.5 for Rice. Rob J, tired and overtired. Gary J says Rice gets a 6. Joe Stanley, Rice is a 7 to 8 for me. By far one of our best players today. Showed he wanted to play for the badge, and that's all I ask from players. Anthos says, don't think we've had the best player on the pitch today. Mine's a 5 from Rob J. Where are we? I was going to read that comment out, but there's someone in there just... Declan is physically and mentally drained and playing on empty, so 6. You're saying the best player was Bowen. We'll come on to him in a minute. Kaiser's giving him a 6. Rob J, if 6 is average, he was below average 5. That's a good point. Liam says 6 being average. Rice was an average 6. Vinay's giving him a 5. English Yardie gives him a 6. Didn't have it today. The whole team was off, guys. P. Gad's saying the entire squad needs to take the international break off.
God,
absolutely. Seraph is saying Rice 6. He looks tired. And there you go. Still is giving you his ratings on Declan Rice.
Should have stuck with 5.
Yep. So I think the next player for us to rate is Pablo Fornals.
Didn't see Pablo Fornals much on the ball today, did we? No. I just think that's down to Brentford rather than the player playing badly in any way. He wasn't in the game much, and ironically, I know what you said about Král, could have been a perfect sub for Soucek. Maybe, just maybe, Vlasic could have been a decent sub for Fornals. However, that would have exposed Cresswell. So I get why Fornals is there, but 6. It was an average game for him. Didn't see much of him. 5, 6, 6. I'll go for 6.
Giving him a 6,
and I think I'm being generous.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm Fornals's biggest fan. I've become his biggest fan. I think he's become a fantastic player for West Ham. I rate him really highly, and I thought that he was a difference in how West Ham played against Vienna midweek when he came on. He really brought us forward and looked the part. Anthos is saying, what was Anthos saying there?
He said, let's put it back up. Fornals went missing. I thought the old bill should have been called. Missing in
But
action.
I think he definitely did go missing in action. In actual fact, at one point in the game, when I think it was the incident between Fornals, Moyes, and one of the Brentford players, and the cameras were focusing on Moyes having a goal. It was over something to do with scuffle.
We were shouting out for Moyes to punch the player.
We were
telling Moyes to punch him,
but
and
it was a scuffle.
It was a scuffle between.
Yeah. It was a scuffle between the player and Fornals that brought Moyes to the equation. But the cameras focused on Fornals, and we all went, "Oh, Fornals is playing." He just went completely under the radar today. It was not like him. And again, that's probably what you could say. Credit to what they've done. Yeah, what Brentford did today. Absolutely.
They snuffed out our players like Fornals today. They knew what they were doing. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So let's jump into the chat and see what everyone is saying regarding Fornals as well. I'm trying to find the part where we talk about Fornals. There we are. Gary Cray is saying a 4. Long Dark Tunnel gives him a 6. English Ardy a 5. Michelle's given him a 6. Rob J said 5. Tyler says underperformed. Scott Van Fornicator 4, very quiet today, hardly recognised him on the pitch. Gary J 6 from him. Neil from Dunner, he said he gets a 6. Anthos says Fornals went missing. Thought the old bell should have been called, like you said. Amin says, I'm not sure, maybe a 5. Vinay gives him a 6. He tried, but the whole team was not playing well. Joe Stanley says Pablo 6 today, bang average performance from him. Too much fornication lately, number 6. Rob J still loves him, though, and as we all do. Fornals 6 could have swapped with Benny earlier in the game. Where is the rest? Bernie, was he playing 3 for Fornals? Was he playing 3 for Fornals?
That number 22 for Brentford should have been booked for time wasting. Got away with it the whole game. Whole game.
I think most of the team from Brentford were very capable of on their day time wasting. But you know what? And I know you said this, it was a very championship winning result, but sometimes you just
championship tactics, championship football, championship play acting.
As frustrating as it is, they went and got the result, and that's how they done it today. Mihailo saying 6 for Pablo. To be honest, Antonio and Saeed ignored him a couple of times when he was in good positions. Richard Walton says Fornals is not a left winger, Benrahma is not a central attacking midfielder, so 4. Kaiser's giving him a 5. David M saying Fornals 5.
Yes, David. There'll be a rating for the ref.
Don't worry, mate. There will be.
Too bloody right, there will be.
English Yardy says Fornals for me was missing. I didn't even hear his name in the match. My stream was in.
No, I think Clive. I'm actually being really generous. I think it should have been a 5, but there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Clive Trevlin says, sorry, back in the room. Fornals 6 was still fairly reliable today. Gary Craig gives him a 4. And let me jump in here and see what the chat said with regards to Fornals. 51% of people have given him a 6. So there you go. Most of the chat is agreeing with you with that number. 37% of people gave him a 5 and under. So it's time to move on. Let me see who's next. We've just done Fornals. It's time to move on to former Brentford player, now West Ham, scored 4 goals a season, the Algerian wizard, Saeed Benrahma.
Didn't happen for him today. He was trying. I'll tell you what, he was trying. Yeah. Ex-Brentford player or not, he was giving it effort. Just didn't work out for him. Didn't happen. He tried a few shots which were a bit tame. But this is why I think I've been a bit too generous with Fornals now, saying 6, because I think Benrahma was about 6 as well. Yeah, he was more in it than Fornals, and he was more in the game than Fornals was. But 6. But he tried. He tried.
So I kind of forward thinking, close to a 7, but you don't want to give a 7 because no one really performed at a 7 level except for Cresswell.
No one performed at a 7.
He definitely did try. He had a couple of good chances. They went just wide. I think the keeper saved one really good one, tipped over the bar. But yeah, I mean, it just wasn't his day really today, to be honest. Let's go into the chat and see what everyone says about Benny. Before I do go into the chat, I'll give you the ratings in the poll, and the results were 45% of people gave him a 6 for Benrahma. 29% people gave him a 7. So 6 was the final result, which is fair, to be honest. Where are we? Benny gets a 6 from Rob J. Neil from Down Under gives him a 6. Long Duck Tunnel gives him a 5. Anthos gives him a 6. Scott Venn Benrahma 7 had 3 men on him all times. Unlucky with the free kick. And yeah, do you know what? Thomas Frank probably marked him out of the game, to be honest. And I knew what tactics that West Ham are going to use with regards to Saeed. So they'd done their homework. They knew the homework and they'd done the job. Measley, Benny 6.5. Vinay saying Benny 7 for hitting a good free kick, which was tipped over. James Bong 6. Amin says I want to say 10, but just 6 for today. Hammerwell, Benny needs to dye his hair back again. Liam, our attack is really good. It's just our defence and maybe the midfield. Richard Walton, Benny is a left winger, full stop, playing as an attacking mid. So 4 for trying. Joe Stanley, it's harsh, Richard. Joe Stanley, Benny 7, always looked to go forward when they had the ball and not looking enough to score from a free kick. Murad has given him a 6. Neil from Down Under, Benny tried hard, but his decision making on shots was taken off. Serif 6, played okay. Clive's given him a 7. He was definitely a West Ham player today and showed Brentford just enough respect. Anthos saying Bowen. Oh, we'll come on to Bowen in a second. Yeah. Jimmy James 6 should have been moved out wide earlier. Lots of spaces down the sides of the Brentford's centre backs. Bernie says he gave him a 7 because he was trying. His performances are definitely improving from Rob J. Long Dark Tunnel, I don't think Benny should have started. Scott Venn, Jared 7. Oh, we'll talk about him in a minute. So it's time to move on to further up the field. None other than Jared Bowen.
I do not know where Jared Bowen gets his energy from, because I'll tell you what, I talked about Cresswell being our best player, and I'd completely forgotten the fact that Bowen was probably better than him. Bowen gets a 7. What a goal with his wrong foot. And the gap was this wide between goalie and post. You know, and what a controlled strike. It was absolutely stunning goal. And he ran his sock. You know what? 8.
Wow.
8. Yeah. Because the man he's got so much stamina, and he got us back in it, deservedly so, in the second half. And that goal is a goal that should be considered as goal of the month, you know, or should be amongst them for you know, in the Premier League, because what a controlled strike, what an absolutely rocket of a goal. But not just that, his work rate, and how many times are we going to see his work rate on a regular basis? And the man just doesn't stop. And all credit to him. He is just getting to be. I can see why teams like Liverpool and other clubs are sniffing around him. He's a great player, and he's going to get even better, Jared Bowen. You know, and he's going to become one of our top players this season. He's becoming one of our top players. 8. I've changed it to an 8. He deserved 8.
It is your ratings, of course. I would have given him a 7. I'm basing that, you know, the 8 maybe for the goal alone, but
it was not,
you know, his work rate.
It was not deflected, mate. Not from where we saw it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It wasn't.
It was
no,
bang in. Went straight in.
Yeah, it went straight in. It was a rocket. It was absolutely was. It was an absolutely fantastic, well taken goal. You know, I can't fault his work rate. I said it after the Vienna game. I've said it about this season. He is just a couple of goals away from really raising the tempo, and a goal today, even though if there was one positive to take from today, was the fact that Bowen banged a goal in, and that's all he needs to do is add those goals to this season, and we've got a player firing on all cylinders.
Interestingly, he had a shot. Was it this game or was it that? I'm losing track. Where he went with his right foot and he hooped
against
it over
Vienna.
the bar.
Against
was
Vienna.
That Vienna? Was that Vienna? Yeah. God,
But
they're
the
all
thing-
blurring into one.
But the thing is with Bowen, like today, there was a couple of other decisions that he could have done that he didn't do, and that's why I couldn't give him the 8. I get it. We'll put him as an 8. That's fine. But apart from that, his goal was fantastic. He was taken well. His work rate is phenomenal. He tracks back. He gets forward. It's just the final third, and I think that's something they're definitely going to be working on 100%. And see, right now, I'm kind of glad he's not been called up to the England squad. I'm kind of glad he's not. And it's not ideal, but I'm kind of glad he's not, because it means he can get the rest he needs to do. And I think he's the sort of guy that'll be in there working with the right coaches in order to maybe work on the finishing and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So well played to Jared Bowen today. Let's go and see what the chat says. 54% of people have given him a 7. 54% of people have given him a 7.
Okay.
37% of people gave him a 6, and 5% of people gave him an 8. Let's jump into the chat and speak about Bowen. Rob J says Bowen's work ethic is second to none, but 6. Long Duck Tunnel gives him an 8. James Bond gives him a 7.5. Neil from Down Under gives Bowen a 7. Serif 2, Happy Hammer, Bowen 7, played well and tried very hard to make things happen. Gary J says, I think he puts in a shift. He gets a 7. Bowen gets a 7, well-taken goal from Joe Stanley. Amin gives him an 8. Bernie gives Bowen, was the best for me, 8 in truth. He was on fire. Mishley says 6.5. Tyler, Bowen looks worn out. I don't think he does.
Doesn't. I don't think he does. He's one of the few players that actually doesn't look.
Yeah. Yes, you can, Rob. You can change your mind. Give him a 7. Pegad said Bowen looked good. Should have had a few. He gets a 7. Where are we? You're saying why was there no subs? Claret and Booze. Bowen suffered in the first half due to Soufal playing his worst game for us. He never stopped running.
Good point.
Jimmy James says 7 non-stop running. Nice strike for the goal. He was going off and he was going off and he hadn't scored. Vinay, Bowen 7. He scored a great goal. Was nervous for the headers, but should have been on target. I expect him to improve his finishing this season. That's the first time that's jumped in such a long time. There we are. Rob J deflected though still. Kaiser, I don't think it was. Kaiser Machine, 8 for Bowen. Should have put the header on. Oh, yeah, the header, the glancing header. Yes, I've got it now. There was a cross that came in and it was 6 yards out. And
it was a sitter.
It was an absolute
But wasn't
sitter.
that Bowen who crossed the ball?
No, it was Bowen. No, it was Bowen that headed it, and it was literally
And
landed
it
right on
was
his
a
head,
sitter.
and he went like that,
That was
and
right
he
in
went
front
to the
of us,
back
yeah.
post there. Absolute
Yeah.
sitter it was.
It was right.
Richard Walton, Bowen scored a fantastic goal, but has always missed easier chances. So man of the match 7. Long dark tunnel. Bowen was hungry. They can't afford Bowen now. English Hardy Bowen for me was a 6. He scored, but he had many chances. Okay, maybe 6.6 was energy. Gary J says if we would have won, I'd probably give him an 8. Bernie says 100% still with Bowen. He's great to watch and runs like a gazelle, that guy. Rob J scored, pointing to the badge in at the ground. Proper hammer. Clive says Bowen 6, but close 7. Gary J says, I think as a team, we need to really work on finishing. English Yardie says a 6. Neil from Dinner says definitely not deflected. David M says I gave it a 7. A great goal. Soufal. Oh, there you go. You give me all your ratings. We'll go to Bowen. You gave Bowen a 7. When Bowen scored, he kissed the badge. What a legend. Bowen is a 15 to 20 goal a season player now. Well, let's hope he is, because if he does, he should always start. He's so good playing with Antonio Benny and Fornals. He's saying, hey Gareth, where's Bowen's international call-up? WHU saying, sorry guys, I'm not going to rate our players today because we had 18 attempts on goal with 5 on target.
Didn't feel like there was
subs fatigue.
Attempts.
There was though. There was.
Wow.
We did. Yeah, we had 18 attempts on goal and 5 were on target. I think Brentford had 11 with like 4 or something on target, and changing the central midfield support and tactics were factors. Bowen did take his goal well, but missed a sitter of a header and badly needs to improve his finishing. I think the same could be said of Fornals. We need to improve our finishing. Murad's given him an 8. We won't talk about him yet. David M. Bowen played last Thursday. He is never tired. Scott Ben said he's 7, lovely goal. Should have scored with the header in the second half. Fresh fielder, good to see you, and really, really nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, Sean.
And I'm really Sean. And I'm sorry. I know I spent some time with you outside. I really wish I'd had a chance to spend more time with you. So apologies for that. But really, really nice to meet you, mate. Thank you for making the effort to come up and say hi. Neil from Down Under. Bowen's better start cracking then, as it was his first goal in 16 games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it?
Must have been.
Wow.
Must have been.
Bloody hell.
Let's
Wow.
move on to the man of the moment, you could say, but not today, unfortunately. And it's Mikel Antonio.
This is where I'm going to be hated.
Okay, I'm willing to listen to you, but I feel like my tone could be different with you.
Okay. 4. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't know what's happening with Antonio, but there were a couple of opportunities today where he could have laid on the ball to other players in better positions, and he decided to have a crack when he had no reason to think he was going to score. It happened a couple of times, and he's getting into the. I know he's now our number 9, and he needs to score goals, etc. But a really good footballer, like he's done in the past, sets other people up as well. He did it the other day when he set up Declan for the goal, and he could have done it a couple of times today.
Now,
And he didn't.
I'm gonna completely disagree
4.
with you on this one. I'll have to put it in because it's your bloody show. There you go. But I am going to completely disagree with you on this one. And this is quite funny, actually, because I didn't expect you to say that. Because during the game, I think there was 2 occasions, I said to Alf and Tommy, why the hell did Antonio square that ball? I was shocked.
Well,
I
excuse
was
me.
shocked.
When was that?
I was shocked. There was a couple of
I
occasions.
was shocked that you actually even seeing him laying it off.
Because it was
We
such
didn't see him laying
it
it
was
off.
because it was such a pivotal part of the game that we remember talking about it, and the 2 lads that were on with me completely agreed. Now there was one point that Antonio received the ball and it was on his left foot. He was coming into the box. He must have been he was left of the penalty box, quite a far left of the penalty box. And normally, under the new Antonio mindset, it would have been an absolute smash and grab with his left foot. The way I know it's not his best foot, but I think he felt uncomfortable today taking the shot. He held the ball back and tried to square it, and it went behind the running on player, and it didn't work. And he'd done it again the second time, and I was shouting at this camera. I was going, "Why are you squaring it? Why are you squaring it?" I was shocked. Apart from that, I don't think he got a huge amount of service today either. The normal way that he has
No,
been doing.
He didn't. Like we said earlier in the show about Soufal pumping the ball up, which normally Antonio runs onto, but they were such wayward passes. There's no way Antonio could have got onto them.
Yeah.
But I just think he was. Look, people are going to, like I said earlier, people are going to start talking about Europa League having an impact on our game. Antonio is another player that should not have played on Thursday. He shouldn't have played on Thursday. There was no need for him to have played on Thursday. Keep him fresh for the Premier League game. He, amongst others, like Soucek, etc. There's no need to have played. No need for them to have played 2 games in close succession. I don't think it suits them. So it would have been better if Antonio had been rested on Thursday and he would have been all firing, all guns blazing today. And I'm sorry, but he had another. I know I slated him at Leeds, and everyone said, "Oh my God, what game were you watching?" I didn't think he had a good game against Leeds. He only came to life in the last 10 minutes, and great goal. Decent, okay, in the game during the week where he laid the ball off for Declan, etc. Yeah, but today I think he suffered from. We always knew this was going to be a hard game. Brentford. It's going to be a physical game, which it was. And yes, that's the sort of player that you want on the pitch. Well, then keep him fresh so that he plays the physical game against Brentford. And unfortunately, he wasn't fresh. Sorry to say.
There you go. There's Moyes
So,
telling you. He's saying, "Listen to Stell. Listen to Stell." I do think this is quite possibly one of your harshest ones tonight.
it is.
That's me.
I
That's
just
me.
think, but I think I've got to consider all the factors as well. That
Yeah.
Brentford were physical. Brentford snuffed him out. They made it difficult for him, and he was marked out of the game. But normally Antonio would be the sort of player that will shrug them off. We've seen him do it so many times. He just didn't look. I'm not saying he didn't look up for it, but he just looked. I want for the Premier League. Given now that we've seen in Europa, the quality of the opposition in Europa, there's no need to play Antonio in the Europa League until we get to the knockout stages, which we will. And he would have been far fresher today, as would Soucek have been today had they not had the game in midweek. That's why I'm being harsh.
51% of people in the chat have given him a 6. 24% of people have given him a 7. So there you go. Are you going to change?
No, 4.
Gary Cray says 6, not great today. Long Dark Tunnel gives him a 6. Michelin's given him a 6. Amin's given him a 2. It's extremely harsh. James Bong's given him a 6. Rob Jace calling you harsh. Scott Venn is saying Mickey 6. Some great bright sparks, but not the greatest game. Held onto the ball too long when there was better options on. Desperately needed a second striker on the pitch. Hello, Cat. What was that one? Sushi or
hello, Cat? This is Sushi.
Hello, Cat. This is Sushi.
Hello, Cat. Sushi. What do you think of Antonio? Give me a meow for more than 5, or no meow at all if you think it's under 5.
He really looks uncomfortable. He looks like he does not want to be held. Sorry.
Hello,
Bernie
Sushi.
Badram is saying an off day for Antonio, and I think he was just a 3 or a 4, but was just not at it today. Clive saying Antonio was stifled today. He was heavily marked, but made some poor choices in the box. A 7, but only just. Gary J says I gave him a 5, maybe slightly below average. Antonio gets a 6. Brentford seemed to have 20 men on the field, couldn't break through from Kaiser. Vinay says I agree with Anton. I don't blame you. I don't blame you, mate. Rob J, we didn't create many great chances, let's face it. Jimmy James, 6, worked hard, didn't happen for him today, needs more service. Come on, Stell, you've got to change.
Look, Jimmy's got a cat. You see Jimmy's cat as well in his photo.
Yeah, there you go.
So we should have a cat show.
And thoughts night all shut eye time. Thanks, guys. If you're coming out still, you've got some free time, get in touch. I'll drive up to Pretaris.
We'll be in Protera Friday. Well, we arrive Friday night. By the way, Anton, did I tell you I was on holiday?
Yes, you have, mate.
Right.
You have.
So we're in Protera basically from next Saturday onwards, man, Antos. So thank you for leaving your email.
Did I tell you that we were having a baby and I'm going to be off for 6 weeks? Yeah, okay, anyway, let's carry on. Rob J, agreed still. Fact, get Chenko. The mail order picture offer still on, by the way. Richard Walton, the still hit list in any order is always Antonio and Lanzini and Masuaku and Masuaku. I love it. Richard, dig him out.
Thank goodness Lanzini and Masuaku didn't play. Can you imagine the scores they would have got?
Bernie said it's nothing to do with the European game. We was a different game in Europe, and I agree with Moyes. We should be able to manage a game a week. It's morning here, Anthos. We'll talk about Moyes in a minute. We'll talk about that again. Why am I clicking on that? Right, okay, we'll just move on from Antonio because you're all moved on and talking about the manager, which is David Moyes. Still, what do you think of David Moyes today? What was his rating?
Now, I kind of get, interestingly, I know a lot of people have criticised it, but I kind of get why he didn't make changes because Vlasic was ready to come on, I think in the 75th minute or something like that. The ball didn't go out for a while, and then we scored. And then he told Vlasic to put his training vest back on. So I think, ironically, if anything, he should have made the change that you said. Maybe take Soucek off and freshen it up in midfield. But I also get why he didn't do that because of what we said. You know, that perhaps people would have seen that as a negative move. No, that was, there you go, 10 for Sushi. And I get why because we came out in the second half all like a completely different team. Yeah. So I totally get why he didn't want to make changes. If he'd have made changes, he should have done it at half time. But he saw how the team started in the second half. We kept going. We were knocking on the door. It was sooner rather than later that we were going to score. And when we did, it was like, yeah, why change it? You know,
what's your marking for him? What's your rating?
Oh, I don't know. Because I think it's not so much making changes during the game. I think it's about what I said earlier about the likes of Soucek and Antonio maybe not having played on Thursday, which would have been better for them for tonight. 5.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, to be honest. It's not very often we agree, but anyway, I will do it. Epic Hashtag is giving him a 1. WHU 58's giving him a generous 3. Scott Sewell's asking why was today, but Stell's just spoke about that.
I've answered that, yeah.
Yeah, Moyes 5 should have made changes today. Bernie 2 right Stell. We don't need to play Antonio in every game. You just saying, guys, the team's played badly today. Brentford could have been 3-0 up in the first half.
They could have been, yeah.
Fornals and Soufal all played well, below par, and as did most of the players. But to be fair, though, the game could have been 3-3 10 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, true.
Where are we? Neil from Down Under. We owned most of the game after half time, and while we were dominating the play, there was no way Moyes was going to break that momentum
Agreed.
to make
Agreed.
that sub. Mark saying Dinosaur Moyes rating generous, 1 most of the time clueless. Cat gets a 9 still. There you go. Long Dark Tunnel. Antonio gets a 6 because maybe Moyes should take some blame. I mean, he's a number. Oh, well, we're just still talking about that, but I thought we'd moved on to Moyes. I mean, is saying Moyes was not Moyes today. Long Dark Tunnel gives him a 6. Scott Venn gives him a 5. Agree with no changes. We had momentum, but Soucek and Soufal need to come off at half time. Rob J gives him a 6.
I kind of agree with that. Yeah.
Sushi gets a 10. Misley gets a 5. Vinay gives him a 5. Moyes 5. For God's sake, play your best keeper and rotate tired players. Kroll, Lanzini should have been involved.
Agreed.
Mark Wake, Moyes blaming Ogbonna for Brentford's winner, giving away a stupid free kick. Fat Glitch Genko, Moyes 4, should have played Yarmolenko for 30 minutes. It wasn't a time for
it might
subs,
actually be serious.
Wrong. Neil from Down Under says 6 for Moyes. The players let him down in the first half, and I think he must
go back to that last comment. He got the starting lineup wrong. He got the starting lineup wrong on Thursday. The starting lineup today is what we expected. Let's be honest. You know, I think he got the starting lineup wrong on Thursday. I know we won, but we didn't need, as I keep saying, to play certain players on Thursday. You know, Vienna were an average team, so we didn't need Antonio and players like that on Thursday.
James gives him an 8. Clive Trevlin says Moyes is a 6. Needs to think about the subs 65 minutes onwards. Johnson for Soufal would have been my shout. Gary J said I gave him a 6, but I think 5 is fair. Bernie says Moyes, this is a hard one, but I do think he gets stuck in a rut at times. We do need a plan B rather than just hope something will happen. Richard Walton, Moyes just won for apparently being there, or was it his hologram? English Ardy, these matches are coming fast, boys. Moyes today 5. Moyes himself is learning about the team, but today should have made changes. Jimmy James 6, stuck with his trusted players. Mate Balota, sorry to say, but very, very, what is it? Very game management by Moyes today.
Game management today. Yeah, no substitutes.
Was a massive mistake. Lawrence says it sounded like we had the chance in the second half to win the game, but failed to convert the chances.
We did, ironically, yeah.
Moyes an 8. I'm still annoyed with Moyes. Don't forget, Hammerwell, we were drawing until the last minute.
We were, and deservedly so.
Epic half time starting Fabo Varela means he's got it wrong. I can't put this one up because I don't like saying it.
But you know it's true.
No, I really don't. So yeah, there you go. There's your rating for David Moyes. We've got 2 more things, people and fans. We'll just go straight with the fans. We always have to do it because it's just a nice touch, mate. You were at the game. I could hear the fans singing throughout the day. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, always. You know, the fans are there, you know, to back the team, and you know, G'd up by the Brentford fans who sang heartily today. But when it got to 1-1 and fans around me started singing, "You're not singing anymore," I was like, please don't sing that. Please just don't sing that. Because it's always the most dangerous thing, isn't it, to start goading the fans. And but yeah, our fans have been fantastic this season. Absolutely fantastic, home and away. And do you know what? It wasn't that the fans went away. I don't know. There was a mixture of disappointment, but also kind of, I don't know. Like it was like, oh, we've lost. You know, like people walking away going, "What? We've lost."
Yeah.
And I don't think people could actually believe it. It wasn't, and we knew we didn't play well, but the fans have been just superb.
I agree with you 100%. But I meant to go back to the poll for David Moyes, 5 and under. 50% of people gave 5 and under for David Moyes, which is probably one of the lowest we've seen. Actually, it will be the lowest we've seen this season for him. But lastly, let's go in and rate the referee. So there is a poll in there. The referee today was Peter Banks. Stel, what was your thoughts on the ref today?
Fucking poor. With a capital F. Shit. He was. Someone said it. I think he was. He was gullible. He was. I tell you what. Let's rate Brentford for play acting. 10 out of 10. Let's rate Brentford for their tactics. Championship fucking football. 10 out of 10. You know. And every single time a West Ham player went near a Brentford player. They went down like a sack of potatoes, and the ref, you knew what the ref was going to do, blow his whistle. And you know what the Brentford players were doing? Holding their heads. Oh, it's a head wound, which takes even longer to sort out. Gullible, shit reffing, absolutely shit reffing. He was awful right throughout the game, and he gets 0 from me. You can't even rate how shit he was, and he was shit. Sorry, people, but he was total fucking.
And as you can see from
pony.
the heading along the bottom there, Still is ranting his head off.
You know, I thought that said rating, which is why I didn't take much notice of it. He was
ranting.
pony. He was absolute pony. He was awful, the ref. The decisions he was giving, you incredible. There were times when our players. There was one time, I think in the first half, where a player went over Declan, like literally jumped on his fucking back and pulled Declan down, and the ref gave them a free kick. And we're like, what's all that about, mate? You know, and it was just really, really poor, you know. But all right, I'll stop ranting. He deserved, you know, he deserved the kicking, you know, from Moyes. That's what he deserved. But there you go.
Oh, honestly, the amount of comments I've had to allow to be seen because people are properly ranting in the chat as well is absolutely mind-blowing. 78% have given the referee 3 and under. I was going to put a 0 and a 1, but I just had to get the low numbers in somehow. 6% of people have given him a 7. So
Are they Brentford fans? They must be Brentford fans.
I don't know. Right, let's have a look and see what everyone is saying here. Gary Cray is saying -10 for the ref. Peter Wanks, Clogged Dark Tunnel 5. Revo says Sunday League ref. English Yardy says the ref is a 4. Scott Venn says Peter Banks, my rating is a word that rhymes with his surname. I think we've got that. 00 for Muesli for the ref. Mark Wake, the referee, 0 out of 10 for 0 out of 10 a Brentford fan. Oh, so you are a Brentford fan, Mark? Is that what you're saying?
No. He's saying that the ref
was
a
Brentford fan. Sorry, yeah.
Don't upset Mark like that.
Sorry, Mark. Mate, sorry. Yeah. Clive Trevlin, the ref was a -5. He must live in Brentford. Refs are conspiring against us to stop us challenging for the top 4. Huge one. The ref lost control of the match right from the start. He didn't give a blatant handball. Downhill all the way after that. David M, the referee, 0, did not stop time wasting. Brentford have a 12th man.
Oh, that was the worst of all. You know, the number of times he warned the goalie to stop time wasting, and the goalie time wasted every time. The throw-ons, the number 22. I don't know who the player is. Their number 22. How many? That the ball he had was cleaner than before the game started. He kept wiping the fucking ball on his shirt and taking about like half a minute to literally, let me just get that all nice and dry before I go and throw it. And foul throws and this and that. I mean, it was just like he let them get away with murder. He absolutely did. And I think it took, I don't know what it was, something like the 70th minute before they got a yellow card. Whereas we were getting yellow cards, like, you know, handing out confetti. It was a poor performance. He should be downgraded to the Championship, but then I'll feel sorry for the teams in the Championship for having him ref.
Oh, sometimes it's better to do these shows because at least it makes you laugh at the circumstances.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I've said that one. Jimmy James is saying 0 should be refereeing in Premier League, more like Sunday League. English Yardy says, to be honest, in his worst ref was that
his first Premier, and it showed English Yardy if that was his first Premier League
ref
game.
4, not good, but not as bad as Moyes. Stel's even more annoyed than me. -10, no idea at all. Stel, laugh out loud, too funny, mate. Better refs on a Sunday on Hackney Marshes. Richard Walton, 10 out of 10 for the show. Anton and Stel, thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow, Richard, are you all right, mate?
English Yardy, Stel's laugh out loud. You're not the best. Anton's the best. Anton, you're really funny. Stel's not. Mark Wake, Sunday League referee, probably get him off the streets to officiate our game. Hammerwell, look at how long he took to allow Rice on. Ranting. Shall I rant again? Yeah.
Right. Declan went off for, what was it, cramp or whatever. They started playing, and the ref was doing that to him. Oh, what? So what? You want them to get the ball up to, what, our 18-yard box before you allow him to come back on? And then when they got the ball to the 18-yard box, he went, Go on, you can come on now. What the fuck was all that about? I mean, seriously, ref. Anyway, carry on.
Hold on a minute. I want to put this one up. So this will sit you down to a T. Go on, carry on ranting.
Still wants. Mate, it's the views for the channel. There's it's the channel. But you know you love it, really.
Revo, he had no control of players for time wasting, should have been dished out more yellows. David M only got 3 minutes of injury time, absolute joke.
That was a joke, yeah.
Still love your passion, sir. Downgraded to Dundee groundsman. I'll never forget that. I will never forget that fan. I'll never, ever, ever forget that fan. We're voted one of the best football parks in Britain.
Mate, what
the grass was covering over the top of the shoes. I'm so confused.
And the Dundee fan said it was it's a Dundee fan that said that, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess you do not rate the
no, I don't.
Yeah. Still, do you want to come to anger management classes with me? Honestly, WHU, you don't know the half of it. Neil from Down Under, the ref was a bit like Blakey and the bus is fucking useless. And Clive Trevelyan says, hit the like button. People, and that brings an end to our player ratings show. 25 to 30 minutes more than normal. Of course, that is because of one person and one person only. Stelios.
You love it. You love it, really. You love it, really. There you go.
Disappointing, but we move on. International break.
We move on. We're not going to see us play that bad again. I really can't see that happening. I really can't.
Let's bloody hope not. Still, you've got the weekly, West Ham weekly tomorrow evening, or tonight, you could say now, because officially it's midnight.
Yep. Don't ask me what time. I've got no idea. I haven't even started writing the script yet.
Yeah,
God. So there you go.
There you go. Well, I've seen his potential title for the show, but that might change after today's result.
That's changing. That's changing. Yeah, I'm not using that title nor that image.
He literally must have written that title the minute he came home from the Vienna game.
I actually did. I literally went great, and I thought today, I better change that title.
So make sure you do join us tomorrow. Russ will be live with a lunchtime live. Tomorrow at some point. There may be a daily. We're going to try and resurrect the dailies if we can.
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should. It is.
We'll try and do it. We might not do it on a day that you're doing a weekly, but we'll kind of revisit it, and then hopefully moving into the rest of the week, we'll do it as well. So thank you very much for joining us.
One last shout out. I mean, there's so many people at the supporters club today, and over the last few weeks that we've been there, and please do forgive me and Anton and other guys that you see there. We love it when you all come up to us and say hello. I cannot remember how many people do that, and I might miss someone out, and it's, we don't mean that on purpose, but it's fantastic. I still kind of still feels a bit weird, people coming up and saying hello, love your shows and all that sort of stuff, but thank you for coming up and saying hello, and we do appreciate that.
I have no idea why you'd go up to Stell and say hello anyway and say thank you for anything, because he doesn't do anything. He just
come up and prepare show. The interesting thing they say is we love that.
See, anyway, there he goes. I refuse to let him talk when he talks.
We love that.
Again, he's at it.
Love the flagship show on Monday nights. That's what they come up and say. But also, we can now break some interesting news, can't we?
Yes, we can.
We can tell you that the game after the Tottenham game on the 24th, 23rd, 24th, whatever date that is, 27th, whatever day that the Tottenham game is, we're proud to be working alongside the supporters club to bring you a Legends Day or a Legends Evening or whatever with Mark Ward and Tony Gale. At the supporters club after the match against Spurs. So when we absolutely thank you, 24th, when we pulverise Spurs, making up for the defeat today, we're going to be in great spirit and have a Legends night afterwards.
They certainly are.
So look out for. We're going to put a little video together that we'll promote and stuff. So do look out for that when it happens.
Absolutely. It's going to be a cool thing, and everyone will enjoy it. Yes, there was some stealthies. I don't know where they are. I don't know what part of the internet they're on, but there is some stealthies.
A few people have come out, and there's some Antonies as well. Do you remember the guy?
Antonies.
Oh, whatever. The two young lads that on Thursday when they went, there's Stell. And there's Anton. I suppose we'll have to take a photo with him as well.
Revo, have you got to be 18 plus to get into Supporters Club? No, you do not, because I often take a little bro up to the game. And I tell you what, Revo, I've got my, when our new baby's born in 7 weeks, the plan is for me to come down to a bit more games, February time, March time. And by that point, Freddie will be 6. But even before that, there's a strong possibility I would like to bring him down. And if there's anywhere from my now kind of going around all the areas that I would take him and feel really comfortable with taking him, it would be the Supporters Club. Apart from I wouldn't bring him anywhere near Stell, because Stell's got such a potty mouth. But apart from that, I would take him there. I feel really comfortable. It's not just about beer drinking. There's soft drinks, there's coffee, there's tea, there's food. And especially if the weather's nice, you can be outside. And even if the weather's not so nice, even being outside, they've got a little bit of cover out there. So
they do. But as you know, people, we will not see Anton at another game for 3 years. Because once that third baby comes, his good missus will say, "That's your lot for the next 3 years." And
we'll see.
What do you mean we'll see?
We'll see.
You know damn well that's going to happen.
Good point. Good point here, Neil, from Dean Under. Dean Under from Dean Under.
Dean Under from down there under.
We are working on something, but we don't know how
it's going to work out.
How it's going to work out. Either way, until we've got what we would love to do up and running, if we can get this thing up and running for the first one, we will. If we can't, there will be some content going out. Yes.
Yeah, there will be.
And you know what? Still, even moving forward, even if we still do what we want to do, there still will be content going out related to it.
Absolutely, there will.
It's too good of an opportunity. There's a mixture of live content and a mixture of pre-recorded content. So there's so many different options there. There will be some stuff potentially connected to the memberships as well. We've got loads of conversation, myself, Stell and Russ, need to have in relation to it. So we'll get that information out to you. It's 20 days from now, 3 weeks from now, before, to get it planned. But the tickets are available online. Yes, what we have to say, Stell, I don't know if you did mention it, you do have to be a member. Did you mention that?
No, unfortunately, I didn't. No, I forgot that. You do.
In order to go to the event, you have to be a Supporters Club member.
Yeah, but if there is still tickets available a week or so before the event, then they will be open to non-members as well. Obviously, members get a discounted price, and non-members will pay slightly more, but it's not that much more. I hope that answers the question, Scott, because I see your question in the chat. And Fat Gitchenko Neil wants to know if you live in a cellar. Well, Anton did live under the. You
never asked anything about me. I know you're obsessed with me, so talk about yourself, please.
Really.
Thank you.
Well, Neil answers, no, just on the other side of the world. There you go.
Listen, thank you for joining us. If you're new around here, please go and hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Hit the thumbs down if you haven't. It's usually Stell that hits the thumbs down. So we've just got to try and work on him changing that and get him up with the thumbs up. Leave a comment after the show if you're interested to become a member. Go and look at football prizes. Loads of cool content. Go and look at Manscaped. If you're interested in anything from Manscaped, use the 20% code off, which is West Ham Network. You get 20% off of your shaving equipment that Stell, he's been wiring in about his ball sack and then up in his face, as you can tell. So
actually, it works really well.
Yes.
Have you tried it? Have you tried it?
Not yet.
Seriously, mate, it works really well.
Yeah, no, I've got a t-shirt as well. I don't even know where the t-shirt's gone.
Yeah, I've got the t-shirt. Yeah. I'll tell you what, I don't know what it's made of, but it makes you a bit sweaty. So I've only worn it once.
What, the pants? Pants,
I haven't even tried those yet.
I've just actually opened the t-shirt.
Have you got them there?
Yeah, there's a t-shirt there. So there's the Manscaped t-shirt. And there you
Jesus
go.
Christ! What size is that?
Manscaped, your balls will thank you.
So look at Will.
I didn't know that's what that said.
Shaving equipment, Will, it's not for your face, mate. Show him that again. Show him the back of the t-shirt. Read that. Your balls will thank you. It's not a shaver for the face.
Right. Thanks for joining us. Have a good one, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy. Stay safe. Come on, you Irons.